Everybody, this is Rose from Get Your Cakes by Rose. As promised, today I'm going to show you guys how I made this veined wafer paper leaves right here. So to get started, of course, I have my uncut wafer paper. I have a gauge 26 floral wire. I have a scissor, a palette knife, 2-tone of dusting powder. I have my Wilton veiner. I also have one right here. This is a 2-part leaf veiner that you can find in my Etsy shop. I've been using this, so it's quite dirty. And I have several wafer paper leaves right here in various stages of completion. So we're gonna set that aside. I have a little bucket of water and I have several flat brushes right here. I have another flat brush right here, and this is just with a mixture of dry dusting powder in a bowl. And then I have another bowl right here, and this has a mixture again of the dusting powder, but this is gonna have a little bit of water there shortly. Alright, so let's get started. I'm going to just fold my wafer paper in half, and I take my palette knife and cut that. Set the other one aside, and again fold this into half. Cut it again. Set that aside. And then we're going to fold this in half. Now we're going to take one of our floral wire. We're going to cut this into half. Alright, so we're gonna set those two aside. So right here, so I'm gonna dip this brush in just a little bit of water. And then I'm going to make a paste of my dusting powder. Then I'm going to apply that paste right on my veiner. And you have to be careful that your veiner is not saturated with a lot of water. You want this to be pasty. Otherwise, your wafer paper is going to disintegrate. There you go. Now, you're going to take this folded piece and you're going to apply the shiny side down. Right there. Now you're going to press on this gently. By doing so, you're actually embedding the veins onto your wafer paper. And be very careful when you're doing this because you can easily tear your wafer paper. Alright, so that is just great. And I'm gonna show you guys. See? There you go. So you can see all those veins right there. And when we flip this back, you're gonna see how nice it looks. So then we're going to take one of our brush, wipe the excess off. This has been dipped into some water. Wipe the excess off, and we're going to lightly brush this side with that water, just very gently. And then we're going to take our floral wire, apply it right there in the middle, and then we're going to cover that. And again, you're going to press on this gently, because again, your intention is to get all those veins into your second layer. Now you're gonna leave this alone for about 2 minutes just to let it set. And then we'll come back and show you what I do next. It's been more than 2 minutes since we had attached our second layer of our leaf. But one thing that I forgot to show you guys is after you attach the second layer of your leaf over your floral wire, if you're using a 2-part veiner, you can go ahead and use your second part of your veiner and put it right over right there and press on it. And that will also help embed those veins on your wafer paper. Alright, so now I'm going to take my dry brush and some of my dusting powder, and now I'm going to dust. And by doing so, as you noticed, remember earlier we pressed on this after we put it together. By pressing on that, you embedded those veins on the back of your wafer paper leaf. And when you dusted, you're actually highlighting those veins. There you go. Okay. There you go. Now, I'm going to gently peel this off my veiner. I'm going to set that aside. And this is what it looks like up front. That is so pretty. Now, we are not done yet because we want this to completely dry. So we are going to set this aside again for about probably 5 minutes. And then you can keep working on another leaf until it is just dry. And you'll know when it is completely dry because it will be quite stiff like this one. So we're gonna take this one that I had just made earlier, and we're going to take our little scissor and we're going to cut the excess off. And the nice thing about this is you can cut it as small or as big as you want. And if it doesn't look perfect on your first cut, of course, you can go back and make another cut again until you're happy. There you go. And because you're making the cut freehand, no two leaf will ever be the same, even though you're using the same veiner. So now that's what it looks like, and this is what it looks like right here. So we are not done on this yet. I am actually going to, I want this leaf to curl to make it look more natural as it appears in nature. So I'm going to take my brush that's been dipped in a little bit of water, and I'm going to apply some water on some areas. And I want this spot right here to curl inward. So I'm going to apply some water right there and right here. Now remember, the spot or the side that you apply water on is going to be the side that's going to curl. There you go. Now I'm going to set this aside and let it air dry, and then I'll come back and show you guys what it looks like. So now that this is completely dry, we're going to finish it off. And I don't know if you guys can see the difference. The tip is a little bit more curled than it was earlier. So now we're going to dry dust this just to add a little bit more color to that. And you can dust the back some more if you want. That's not dry yet. That spot is not completely dry yet. But that's okay. Alright, there you go. Now, let's take this one. This one, I haven't added more water around the edges and around here. So, as you can see, it is kind of just straight. But, let's dust it anyway. And you'll see the difference once you add the dust to it. And I also I tend to put touch of water right here, because that will ensure that that bottom adheres to my wire. There you go. And then let me show you guys the one that we had done earlier, this one. So we're going to cut this. Like I said earlier, you can cut this to as little as possible if you want. And because you're making the cut freehand, even though you're using the same veiner, no two leaf will look exactly the same. There you go. And I think I need to make a little bit more cut right there, so I'm gonna just do that. There you go. That's the front and this is the back. And I can dust this front to add a little bit more color to it. You guys get the idea. Now, I'm gonna show you guys something right here. Oh, actually, before we do that, so the part of the veiner that you want to use is the part that faces down, the one that has a lot more veins, and that's the same here. The one that has the protruding part, that's the part of the veiner that you want to use. Now right here, these are the ones that I made last night. This is actually the very first one, the successful one I had made. The perfect imperfect one, the first one, this one. So, and then right here, I want you guys to look at this one. See that little spot right there? So I almost chopped this one, but then once I was finished with it, I looked at it and I was like, this actually looks pretty. It looks like it appears in nature. So I kept it and I made it into a little spray, like this. So anyway, I hope you guys learned something from this little tutorial. This is Rose again from Future Cakes by Rose. See y'all later. Bye-bye.